Hey guys, Zora here. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. I still don't know if I'm just gonna call it Adventures or if I'm gonna call it Chronicles. They're both the same game, but regardless. Last time we managed to investigate Kazuma's cabin and kind of get to see what all actually happened here, or at least what we were able to see what happened. And then we were greeted with this thing. Herlock Sholmes. That's what he is. Let me tell you a story. And by story, I mean I'm gonna complain the fact that this is my third time trying to record this. I don't know if I cursed some weird demon or god or whatever. Everything just started going wrong. I probably got too excited because I really love this game. And I really love voicing Herlock Sholmes because he's just so everywhere. But because of that, some of the audio didn't come out good, the video came out faded, a lot of things went wrong, and so after a few months, here we are again. Which means I also forgot everyone's voices, and they're probably not gonna be the same. So, sorry future me who's gonna edit this. Either way. Last where we left off, he really came into this room without our consent, nor our concern. And we can figure out more about the great detective himself. So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Oh, I see, you're German. Herlock, was it? No, I have no I have hair. Please, call me Sholmes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh yes, Rant's magazine. I still don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Full of wonderful short stories and interesting articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Ah yes, here it is. The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your own short stories, you've started to think you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I'm not the poor deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. Why is there no S in that backwards? Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. Dr. Wilson? I'm not sure if I made mention of this in the first few episodes, but yes, Dr. Wilson is supposed to be Dr. Watson. I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy of late. Why, this very moment, I'm returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science. Logical reasoning in its purest form. Science? Really? The astute observer knows this is even the most subtle of reactions in this subject. A furtive glance, a touch of the muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin. All these things are data. Right. And the trained logician makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How can he look me in the eye and claim that? So you see, I have a term both for observation and for deduction. And fame. That is what makes me the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Yes, I love this man. I also hate this man. This abomination did not need to exist in the Ace Attorney world, let me tell you this. Alright, let's see if we can actually get some information from him. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything? My dear fellow. Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Ah, I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective Herlock Sholmes was on board. And the handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh really? Two facts, you say? Oh, okay. Oh, Jesus Christ, there's so much to talk about. I'll never get back to investigating. Mr. Sholmes, tell us, please. What two facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning? Ah, yes. But first, let us be precise. The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand. But what were they? Allow me to elucidate. The two facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number 1. The cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number 2. The victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, Mr. Sholmes. What makes you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. That's all in code. I don't know any Russian, and I don't know if I will be able to type this out. That's the Russian word for wardrobe. Do you really think Kazuma-sama could have left the dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered Gardrove may be the name of a killer, a certain Robert Gard, perhaps. If this is actually a person, I have no idea. I looked up everything I could for this name and nothing really came up. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there at least. Where you found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly. Quite so. I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is it that I'm Russian too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Are school uniforms the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea. And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and the message, that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. Oh. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes. Thank you. Also, completely sidewinding this, actually, is this the end of the conversation? No, it is not. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all that? Ah, yes. The train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Certainly, if it interests you. I don't know what that word is. How many times? I'm not Russian, and I don't speak Russian. Okay, no. So, real quick. One thing that kind of bothers me, and I don't know how frequent this is gonna come up. In the Japanese language, they use honorifics instead of like the prefixes that we're used to in the Western side. So instead of saying, sorry about that cut there, my mirror decided it wanted to move on its own on my carpet. Anyways, so in Japanese, instead of saying like Mr., Mrs., they use honorifics, which is tacked at the end of the name. So they'll use the last name or first name and then the honorific. So Naruhodo is Naruhodo-san, Susato is Susato-san. It's all based off of like, a TLDR, it's based off of like familiarity, politeness, and all that. But then sometimes they switch over to using the Western style of like referring to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't know how frequently this is gonna come up because it technically makes more sense for Susato and Naruhodo to refer to each other as with the honorifics. If it's for someone else, then it makes sense. I don't know. This was what bothered me playing through these next few episodes. But again, I don't know how frequent this is. Rant over. Deduction. I hope my mirror doesn't move again. Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you concluded about me, I mean. The now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in. Actually, it was the other details I was hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part. Assassination. Ah yes, the more sordid details. It was a very commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads, Revolutionary Vilen Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. So when was Cosmo a Russian? It sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded he was Russian because of what Cosmo-sama wrote on the floor. It was a simple act of reasoning to realize the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary. One who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you, Vilen Bolshevik. I have no idea if that's how you pronounce this name. I apologize to anyone who is Russian or can understand Russian. No. How could it be me? I don't look anything like this man. Just look at his face. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt to learn to revolutionize your appearance as well. Please. And, might I add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower? Ah, yes. The journalists clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds that the man has perpetrated thus far, and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? And what about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Also quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik is recently returned after a period of, subversives? I hate English sometimes. Activities in the war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take the paper for yourself. As a little memento of this great deduction. Oh, thank you? I've absorbed all all that is of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. Oh, of course, so now we're at the trash can. Gotcha. And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well. On the back? Cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you. Though you may need something to interpret. You may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I can hope to read it. But I suppose it wouldn't hurt to just glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. And you know what? That we shall. Going over here, we can examine it. Turn it over. This is all in freaking Russian. I can't read a bloody thing about it. This is interesting. Have you found something relevant, Naruhodo-san? Well, no, I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I. But look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, do you think? She is very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. Ah, I'm glad you noticed this article. So, he just put this into perspective. If I didn't read this now, it would be a little bit more hilarious, because whenever Herlock Sholmes decides he wants to go off war somewhere else, or we decide to go somewhere else, he's just gonna pop up being like, ah, I see you're reading the article that I mentioned about. It's just gonna be funny. Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thank you. He pops up everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova. Why are Russian names so hard to remember? It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room. Wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Rubles? Rubles. So that's the currency, that's the general currency in Russia. I don't know if that's still the currency over there, but I did some research for this. Depending on what kind of rubles they were, as well as how much the US and Great British Pound was worth, I think as of right now, based off our current currency, it's roughly about like, what, 14,000 to 28,000? I don't know, it's gonna be on the screen. I just remember researching about it. It's a lot of money. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure. It must have been an unbelievable sum of money. Zora-san's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is the property of the Novovich Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry. Yes, I'm not surprised. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance at all ports with sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even gonna dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruhodo. So, I actually don't know what they mean by, commonplace of Russians fleeing their nation. This was taken, again, this game is based off of the end of the 19th century, early 20th century, so whatever historical event was going on probably has some significance. If I find anything, it's gonna be on the screen. But yeah, I guess, they say they're worried about her, but they're more worried about their really expensive diamond tiara. I wouldn't want it, but I like crystals. Don't judge me. Crystals and gemstones are my weakness. Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you? Kazuma? Ah, yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? Observe, for a moment, the desk of the victim. We see that the victim was engaged in penning some text. London diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. Ah, but I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset some people. Tragic. And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is. Susato-san? Aren't you gonna throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonged to the victim. It would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author was cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray, be precise as Pray be precise as to details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, Banzai, Mikado, Nado Nado. I trust you're suitably impressed. But this diary is littered with complicated looking characters, of which I can read precisely none. He's probably talking about katakana, because that is really freaking complex. So what was all that showing off about before then? If you would be so kind as to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm much obliged, my dear madam. The final entry here in Kazuma's diary consists of just 2 short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound? These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, you say? The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. Yes, the adjoining cabin. And now we finally got Kazuma's diary. No thanks to Susato from earlier. So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being, at least. Ah, do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writing in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe. And if I'm still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose. You're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to. Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. These are a lot of words that I have never spoken before. So yes, I intend to investigate, hence the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. What? But why? A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer. Oh, these. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. No? There's no point in trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as a culprit at any point. You must be joking! You just said it! Only a moment ago! Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know? Not really. So what? Were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Now he's just being plain rude. And there he goes. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor is as twisted as his name. Naruhodo-san, what are you doing? What are you just standing there for? We must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? There's no way I can... And I go on the floor again. Hello. After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just gonna roll over and accept your fate? As if you gave me any choice on the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea. The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still some things I can do to help myself. And I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this, and bring the real culprit to justice. Alright, so we get a little bit more freedom. I don't actually remember what we all discovered. Oh, right, this game gives me a check mark for anything I did discover. Can I talk to you again? Do I need to talk to you again? I feel like I've already talked to you. When I went for help and the crewman forced the door open. This bolt has been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt and not particularly sturdy. It just slides across to secure the door shut. You say small, but that thing is like almost the size of my hand, sir. But still, with the door bolted, there will be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. Hi. When she glares at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel. The culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across from outside the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal, and they're sealed together perfectly. There will be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. When she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. Oh? Oh, look over there. The crewman, do you mean? He wasn't there before, was he? That's what I thought. Why don't we try talking to him? Probably because I'm likely to get yelled at again. But I suppose I could try. Hello, Mr. New Crewman. You look oddly familiar. Is that? Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? Oh no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. I can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. Yes? What can I do for you? I recognize that face, but it can't be. It is! I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hozunaga. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you, my heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board. But perhaps his presence can help me out in this hopeless situation. Alright, Hozunaga, you really should do something about the blood coming out of your mouth. I don't think that's normal. Do you need to go see a doctor? Do we have a doctor on this ship? So what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. Hmm? This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asagi-san's bodyguard. It was Minister of Justice Jigoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asagi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How? How could that even been a possibility? I'm not sure. But these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it! Kazuma-sama was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asagi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. And I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board. From morning until night. Every day. But I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin. Not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment. And Asagi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector. So if there's anything at all that I can do to help now, just say the word. Oh, poor Inspector. I want to give him a hug. Can we give him permission to investigate? We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer? Of course not! We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin door. Hi! That stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how... There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruhodo-san. By presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence? It's just the same as when you were in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply? Yeah, she's just telling us to do presenting. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, now we just need to present to Hozunaga that we have a viable reason to investigate what's next door. And the only thing that I can think of right now, well, first we have to get out of this menu. And then we got the little present button right here. So let us go ahead and Can I show him the badge? Nah. Let's just show him. Let's just show him Kazuma's diary. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that. But what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins to the next door cabin. That's right. So if we could just investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Alright then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see? I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But... what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asagi-san safe. This is the least that I can do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Oh yeah, now she's telling us that we can move from area to area. Move. Alright, let's see what we can find out. So yeah, oh Jesus Christ, I'm still in this present mode. So yeah, now we have the move option, and we can move from place to place. I think in some of the later cases, we have access to more places like right away, but we're kind of restricted in both a story sense and game sense. So yeah, we can move into the first class passenger, but I think I'm going to end this off right here. I'm trying to get a little bit better at breaking out these episodes. So yeah, thank you guys for coming, thank you guys for watching. This is Zora signing out, and I will see you guys in the next one.